On the 26th of February, Gauteng Premier David Makhura presented the State of the Province address at the Gauteng Legislature in the Johannesburg City Centre. The morning started with a glittering red carpet event. Today we bring you highlights from the speech and from an interview with Premier Makhura.
The election of President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 15th of February this year heralds the new dawn of hope, renewal and change for our country. The President very appropriately described this historic moment during his inaugural State of the Nation address on the 16th of February as follows, and I quote, "We should honor Madiba by putting behind us the era of discord, disunity and disillusionment. We should put behind us the era of diminishing trust in public institutions and weakened confidence in leadership. We should put all the negativity that has dogged our country behind us because a new dawn is upon us. It is a new dawn that is inspired by our collective memory of Nelson Mandela and the changes that are unfolding. As we rid our minds of all negativity, we should reaffirm our belief that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. For though we are a diverse people, we are one nation," close quote. Fellow South Africans, I sincerely believe President Ramaphosa is the kind of leader South Africa needs at this moment, given the nature of the challenges our country faces. Let us all support him across party political affiliation and ideological divide. We in Gauteng are deeply humbled and highly encouraged that much of what the President outlined in his State of the Nation address constitutes the core of our program for radical transformation, modernization and reindustrialization. Emboldened by the President's call for renewal and change, we shall act with greater determination to increase momentum.
Premier, I suppose let's just begin with what the current state of Gauteng is looking like, the economic hub of South Africa's economy.
Our province continues to be the engine of the economy of Southern Africa in many respects, in many sectors. We are the driver of what happens in the SADC region. We continue to contribute 35% to our national economy, that is South Africa's economy, in terms of GDP. In terms of employment, we're also still the key driver of employment. More than 40% of the people employed in South Africa's economy are located in Gauteng. With regard to our contribution to manufacturing and exports, we're still the key driver in that regard. Just a little bit on the jobs. Between 2014 and 2017, our economy created 317,000 jobs. That was very important. That period was very, very important because we began to break the ceiling of how many jobs per annum has the Gauteng economy created every year since 2010.
In which sectors was this?
The major drivers of employment are the new sectors. You know, the Gauteng economy used to contribute a much more significant number of jobs in manufacturing, but the manufacturing sector has come down quite significantly. We've got the services, especially in the services sector. That's where we have a financial sector, where we are. This is the driver. Sandton City is the driver of the financial services sector of our economy, including in other related sectors linked to servicing, ICT, and I'll come back to this a little bit later in our discussion. So in total, between 2010 and 2017, the Gauteng economy created 700,000 jobs. I was saying in the State of the Province address that 2017 was not a good year for us, largely due to the problems in the national economy, including particularly the downgrade of South Africa. We slowed down in 2017, and it is very important that we are more optimistic as a result of the changes that are taking place in our country. Because when things are going in the wrong direction, the Gauteng economy is hit hard. We are the first economy that's hit hard, whether in the global economy or in our national economy. And when the mood is good, because we are that key hub, when the mood is good and the President Ramaphosa's New Dawn speech and the subsequent things that are happening, including the cabinet reshuffle, which has brought in very, very strong people in some of the key areas, such as public enterprises and the finances. The new finance minister who will be brought in, Finance Minister Nhlanhla is the former finance minister. We hold the view that there's a new mood in the country, and the new positive mood, and this is going to be felt throughout the economy. This is by both investors and the public general. When the investors are more positive, we're likely to see a return to a more bullish investment decisions and growth and employment, and in many instances that's what we're going to need. So I am very confident. The focus of my speech really was about what does the new dawn mean for us in Gauteng.
Let's talk about now, what does this better mood, stronger leadership mean for Gauteng?
And Fifi, you would know that essentially since 2014, when I became Premier, some of these major themes that are in the State of the Nation address of President Ramaphosa have been part of the core program of what we call transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization of Gauteng. And some of those include President Ramaphosa made a strong call to address youth unemployment. Now we have been having a program called Tsepo 1 Million, with which we are working with private sector companies, major corporations, 40 of them so far, to open opportunities for the youth. And I'm very glad, yesterday I said we have 460,000 young people who have already been the beneficiaries of this program.
The Premier also touched on the knowledge economy, the advent of the fourth industrial revolution and what it will mean for the African child. Those are your children. What does it mean for school learners, and what does it mean for you in terms of policy?
That is why I'm excited with the free fee higher education. That's the future. We don't solve social problems through social grants. We must ensure that we solve social problems through education, education, education. We must be proud as a country that our children are not queuing for social grants, but are queuing for a graduation ceremony. That's the future.
How is the movement, the ANC as a movement, trying to also angle, the view of the youth towards these knowledge-based industries?
We are fully behind, and we made decisions at our Provincial General Council before the conference that in fact the fourth industrial revolution must be anchored both in the public, strongly anchored in the public and the private sectors. We are expecting that our universities in the province will also produce the skills towards the fourth industrial revolution, with a decision by our national government to subsidize the education of students who come from working class and poor families with a maximum income of 350,000 will actually absorb thousands of students in terms of them accessing. We're encouraged by the innovations which our provincial government is doing to encourage young people to study the sciences so that they are able to go in to study in the engineering, ICT, because you cannot go into the fourth industrial revolution if you are not producing learners in the sciences. And Gauteng is contributing immensely to physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. Those are subjects, and computer studies which are needed. by the fourth industrial revolution. So we are expecting more to be done in that area. And our province has shown in the many years that it's actually contributing nationally to the production of many of the science students which the country needs. With the fourth industrial revolution, more must be produced. And we're expecting more to be done by our universities and basic education.
We are opening a new school next month in Kempton Park. It's a school of specialization. It specializes in aviation. So we are converting an ordinary school to be where we can train pilot, those want to fix engines of aeroplanes, those wants to be in the aviation industry. So we are turning that school. We've just signed a huge agreement with BMW. We're converting 2 of our schools in Tswane to be schools of BMW, so that children can know how to build a new X3 that the BMW is building here. We've just opened a new school in Johannesburg. It's a school of specialization. It specializes in e-agriculture. So our children are going to be converted from being farm workers to be farm owners. So we've got these schools of specialization, 17 of them across the province. Even the school that will teach people to do what they're doing to me while they're still in class. So we are quite excited that 17 of our schools have been approved as schools of specialization, ranging from drama, presentation, DJing, sports, all these things, because the future lies in specialization. If you don't specialize, we're not going to have this kind of schools in our province.
Are you satisfied? Are the youth of Gauteng satisfied with the level of efforts that they're seeing from their government?
The Premier made it clear that our targets are always moving, because in migration is happening every day in our province. You can say you're going to build 5,000 houses, you wake up, you have to provide 10,000. So I think that must be taken into consideration. The issue of equitable share, yes. I mean, TSEPO 1 million. It's in all fields, whether it's in technical fields, in ICT, in public works programs. That is actually happening and is going to continue happening. Obviously, I cannot speak on behalf of the youth of the province, but the government, which is led by the African National Congress, is committed to working with young people in all areas, in all fields, to actually create opportunities and permanent jobs.
The president also called for a social compact. And we have been working with the private sector on key sectors of the Gauteng economy to agree sector by sector on how many jobs can we create. For example, with the BPO sector, business process outsourcing, we have a target of 30,000 jobs in there. We're doing the same with other sectors, the capital equipment and machinery, mining, automotive, agro-processing. In each of those areas, we're working with the private sector in the ICT sector to look at the fourth industrial revolution opportunities. We're looking at how many jobs can we facilitate as government, because government would not be able to create jobs. We create an environment where businesses will do that.
Outside of creating jobs for the youth, what about the optimism in the way of infrastructure? Because that's also a big thing that needs to happen in Gauteng that's been holding the economy from growing further.
Yes, I agree with you, Fifi, that I think the social compact that the president called for needs to happen in a number of areas. It needs to happen on employment creation. It needs to happen on infrastructure development. It needs to happen in areas as well about ethical leadership and fighting corruption. So the infrastructure story for Gauteng is very simple. The citizens of our province in a citizen satisfaction survey say infrastructure, the state and quality of infrastructure in Gauteng is the best area of work of government where they rate us the highest. So the level of satisfaction with infrastructure among citizens, it's very high. So this spurs us to continue to invest in state-of-the-art infrastructure. The Gauteng government, as you would know, had spent 30 billion rands between 2013 and 2016. And in the next 3 years, it's now 2 years left of that, we will be spending another 40 billion rands. So infrastructure is important in the areas such as rollout of broadband. We are a modern economy. We are an increasingly modernizing economy. We are integrated. We are in Africa. We are also a catalyst. We are in the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution. We need broadband infrastructure that is will help us unlock growth of new sectors of the economy. Public transport investments, very, very important, including in good roads and public transport system. I also spoke about the issue of the e-tolls yesterday. We also need public transport, infrastructure such as for energy and water, because Cape Town has a big problem of a water crisis now. We have just completed an interaction with the Gauteng City Region Observatory that says that if we don't take action now, we will face a water crisis. So that's why I'm going to be meeting with the mayors in March to sit down and plan how do we invest in maintenance of the water problem in our province. Is that the quality of infrastructure is very bad, but we also a province that depend on the Lesotho Highland water system that comes into the Vaal River system. So we've got to deal with these challenges and not wait until there's a problem and blame somebody else, like our counterparts in Cape Town are doing. They are blaming the national minister. The question is, what did they do? I don't want me and the mayors sitting here a few years later to be blaming somebody else in national government. We've got to act now.
For sure, prevention is better than cure.
Our economy needs lots of energy, but we must invest in renewable energy so that we have cleaner energy. So infrastructure is something that we need to keep our economy growing.
You are aware that our economy has not been growing, and Gauteng's contribution to the economy is always important. All of us, young people, old people, who must contribute. And it's important that we also deal with crime and the criminal justice system. The Premier in 2015 said, quarrels within the SAPS are creating problems in the fight against crime. We are now confident that with the stability which has been brought to the SAPS in the province, the stability which has been brought overall in the criminal justice cluster will help us to fight crime, working with the law enforcement agency. So commission of crime also creates problems in the economy. So our call is that as communities, we should not harbor criminals. We should be like the people of Englobo, who assisted the police to unearth criminals within 68 hours of the 72 hours which was actually requested by the president. Gauteng people must do the same.
But I also want to raise the issue of police constantly being attacked when they're doing their work, you know. People are now scared to do what they're supposed to do. Englobo is one such example where police were killed by criminals, you know. And when police reacted and responded when the criminals were shooting at them using their firearms that were stolen from the police station, there's a lot of noise about police brutality, police must be investigated, etc., etc. And no one wanted an investigation on how safe the police are and what to do when they find themselves under fire or faced with fire from the criminals. So I think what is important in our country is that let us report everything that happens, because if we report about perpetrators being arrested, we'll be able to deal with the issue of our people being scared of becoming victims of crime. I'm talking about Operation Fiela. Operation Fiela is about being proactive, because what I don't want to happen to me as an individual, also as a citizen, is to be a victim of crime. So prevent crime before it happens rather than responding after I've been a victim of crime.
Do you see the relation between economic investment and your department, and how your department can help unlock that further?
Definitely. I mean, who wants to invest in an area where his investment will is under threat? People want to invest in an area where they are assured that they won't be victims of crime, but also the stability in making sure that their investment is not attacked and get destroyed. Myself myself as political head of the department, we are actually in close contact with investors in Gauteng through Business Against Crime and SABRIC. And those organizations have helped us a lot in making sure that we advise some of the investors or potential investors in our province of where to invest and how to protect their assets.
MEC, the Premier spoke about the number. He spoke about 200 FDI projects that have been in the province since 2014. Surely you're looking, as the hub, you're looking to up that number, considering the amount of people that flock into the city and really putting a lot of strain on the education and the health departments.
Well, I think that economic recovery and the creation of an inclusive economy is one of the major priorities for this provincial government. And clearly one of the issues that we've been working hard on is to open up markets in the rest of the African continent, but also to attract foreign direct investment. I think that clearly improved investor confidence, improved business confidence bodes well for us. We've always been the primary destination for FDI in our country, and I think we have great hope that it will improve going into the future.
What's in store for the township economy?
Well, you know that is my passion, Fifi. If there's something that really keeps me going, dreaming, that turns me excited, I lighten up when you talk about the township economy, is because that's where the overwhelming majority of our people are. Many of them who can't find employment in the big firms today are in the townships. And that's where we have to turn around these spaces into vibrant local economies. So we have done a lot over the past 3 years, but it's still not enough. I know that we now have spent over 17 billion rands of our procurement spent is in the township economy. We have grown from just 600 businesses benefiting from our procurement budget, and now we have 4,100. Even with that, I say, there's still many more township businesses that are doing amazing. They have amazing goods and services. They all want opportunities, access to the market. Many of them also say they need financing. That's why I talk of the provincial state bank. They can only grow if, firstly, we assist them to have access to markets, including us buying from them, significantly spending substantial amounts of money, urging them and nudging them and pushing them to really be businesses that are sustainable, that are producing quality goods and services, and lastly, help change the financing environment because this is a fundamental problem. Businesses in the townships cannot be funded by the DFIs, the development finance institutions. They cannot be funded by the banks, the current mainstream banks, especially the top four. So we need to fill that gap through a number of innovative measures. And I'm quite excited that there are private sector people who say, we want to partner with you on this idea of the provincial state bank, because its focus should be on two issues. One, it should be on financing the growth of SMMEs and township enterprises. Secondly, financing infrastructure. So back to that story of infrastructure. So this provincial state bank is something that we are looking forward to getting going over the next year.
I mean, Premier, in the meantime, some small businesses will just say, just pay us on time. Just pay us on time and we'll be able to be the engines that can, get this economy going. And what are you going to do to ensure that businesses are paid on time? I certainly agree.
I think we're whipping our departments a lot. With regard to payment of service providers on time. I know that at the moment the only department that is falling behind is the Department of Health because it has got significant financial challenges which are being attended to by the team that I have appointed together with the National Minister of Health to support the MEC, Dr. Gwen Ramuhupa, around that. Otherwise, across the province, we're saying that we need to push the payment of service providers on time, because and that's where the businesses are able to make progress. But with those who are affected by the current health situation, I say to them, please bear with us. We are sorting out the issue. In no time, we will be on the other side of the river. They shouldn't give up.
Did anything stand out for you that the movement wanted to address?
Firstly, the acknowledgement that the process of life as Esidimeni was very painful, but it followed all the steps which were required. When it happened, the Premier and the Gauteng government appointed Professor Makhura to do an investigation. A report was produced which had a number of decisions which had to be implemented. We are confident that the provincial government implemented them, including the arbitration, which now we're all awaiting a report from Judge Tikham Moseneke. The Premier committed that all the decisions of the judge will be implemented.
In this province, since 2014, as the Premier of the province, I've taken a hard line, working with all the MECs to say, in our province, we want clean governance. And you know, the AG, that's the Auditor General, has given us 2/3 of our departments and entities in Gauteng have received clean audits, which is tremendous progress. From 54% in 2014, we now have 2/3, so which shows we are making progress. But we also taking decisive steps in areas where there have not been consequences for wrongdoing, particularly irregular expenditure and wasteful expenditure. And I want you to watch the space. And this coming year, because I've been very frustrated by the fact that sometimes they are in forensic investigations of officials who have done wrong things, have protracted disciplinary processes, some even resign, go and start new jobs elsewhere. They recycle this wrong behavior. What we want to see is that where they are wrong, there's wrongdoing and there's corruption, I want to see criminal prosecutions.
One of the things that's wonderful about this era is we now have renewed hope and we have greater energy to tackle old problems.